Can I take this off?
Please take it.
I feel like this is where I break out into song and I rip it off of here. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope all is well. This is our weekend off from football, so hopefully all of you, the next coffee hour, everyone's going, oh, there won't be. Next coffee hour is not for a month, so you'll all be in Bill's gear, so that'll be great. So I'm going to go through a couple quick announcements before we introduce our speaker, and I'm going to start with Wendy Backman.
Yay, Wendy! Yay, Wendy! Woo! I thought there was a Bills game this weekend. I totally forgot. So I'm Wendy with the United Church Home Society, and I just wanted to remind everybody that we're doing a raffle, our August raffle, and you'll see it over there. It's a collage of Josh Allen jumping in 4 different games, one in 2018, one in 2020, 21, 22. It was put together by the photographer from the Buffalo News, and there was 5 made, and we have 1. So even though you may not want one for your apartments, if you have kids or grandkids that love Bill's stuff, love Josh Allen, I would encourage you to buy a raffle ticket. They're at the front desk until Friday next week. They're one raffle ticket is $10, 3 for $20. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Nicole?
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just have a couple of announcements. So, book boxes from the library up in the card room, and then across from the fitness center, you've noticed a flyer with some information that you can fill out. This is a free service from the library. If you fill it out and give it to me, you get to keep all the snacks they give you. It's a fun little box, and it has a book. All you have to do is return the box and the book to me when you're done, and I will return it to the library. So fill those sheets out and get them to me, because they're waiting on us. The $5 book club, we've changed the name to Nicole's Book Nook. And just because I think the $5 was scaring people, you can always get the books for free through the library. I make sure of that before I pick them.
Yeah.
And there's also 2 websites that you can get them extremely cheap. If you aren't familiar with a computer and need me to order them for you, I can. And I can promise you that both of those websites will give them to you for under $5. And there's 3 of us in the book club, so come join us. They're fun. Okay, so BPOs. The first one is in September. Anyone can go. We're just gonna go ahead and put 2 vehicles on that day. If you just need a ride, it's $5. So the sign-up book for prepaid things are back in my office. But you can talk to the receptionists in the evening, and they can send me an email saying that you're interested, and then you will find an invoice in your in-house mailbox for the cost of the outing. Are there any questions on the prepaid outings? No? All right. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.
Well, I hope to introduce our new Director of Resident Services. I think she's serving in the health center right now, so we'll make sure we catch up with her. Allison Gardner. Everyone reads their newsletter, I'm sure you've all gotten it in your mailboxes. We're very excited. It was a good process. We had, I think, about 7 very qualified candidates. Pierre Rogers, our Director of Human Resources, and I did all the interviewing, and it was not an easy choice, but we feel strongly that we have the best candidate for the job. And Allison started at Fox Run as a server at 18 years old, and she slowly moved up, and she became a dietech within Morrison, part of the Morrison team, working in our dining, specifically in the health center. Then she was promoted to assistant director of dining services. So that's a pretty big job, right below Lisa. And she's been doing that since 2019. So if you check your newsletter, you can see her bio a little bit. But we're very excited, and she stopped in at our board meeting on Tuesday nights, and she was very thankful for the position, and she's very excited to prove herself and show what she can do. And it's kind of a win-win situation for us, because we're getting someone new with a different perspective, new energy, but we still have Mary Wellington, who's going to be staying with us. Mary's original last day was yesterday, but I talked her into staying for another 4 weeks until Allison can start. So But then Mary's of course gonna stick around and do what she does best, and that's meet with all of you and just use that great energy to make Fox Run a better place. So thank you, Mary. And we'll officially introduce Allison to all of you at our next coffee hour. My last thing is MVP for the month of September. Robin McCosey, can you come up, please? Robin was one of the first faces I got to know when I came to Fox Run back in 2010. And it wasn't, the nomination didn't come from Robin's own department. This nomination form came from Mary Lou, our Director of Sales and Marketing. I'll read the nomination form. Robin McCosey is an exemplary employee. She's always helpful when you ask her for something. She has a nice way of explaining things and welcomes you in her office when you have a question. I'm going to pause here and say Robin always explains things to me so I don't feel stupid. So thank you for that, Robin. Did you? She also makes sure we all get paid. Come on, Mary Lou. So she is appreciated by every department. All kidding aside, she's been working at Fox Run come this January 16 years, and she is a great employee. Sometimes employees go above and beyond, and here's one of those times that Robin did. The other day, Mary Lou got an email with a very long list of items to be sent to our marketing consultant, and this is part of our expansion project. So Mary Lou just copied and pasted one item to Robin, asked her to provide some information for one item. This is where Robin shines. She truly likes to help and went above and beyond to make Fox Run look great. She not only looked up these items that they were looking for, when she could have simply sent them back to her, but instead she printed out the forms, highlighted exactly what they asked for, scanned them back to me, provided additional information for the consulting firm, which, if you know Mary Lou, this is what she thrives on. She really appreciated that. So then she delivered them to Mary Lou's office and said what every director wants to hear daily. Can I help you with anything else? What else can I do for you? It's glorious to hear those words. Great job, Robin. And not only did you shine, but you made Fox Run shine. And I can say this is every day. This is every day. It almost becomes commonplace that you forget how good somebody is, right? So you get this form, and as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, well, yeah, this is normal. What's the big deal? But it is a big deal because this is who Robin is on a constant basis. So Robin, thank you so much. Here is your gas card and your certificate. Did you want to say anything?
Thank you. As Mary Lou said, I've been here for, come January, 16 years. The longest I've ever worked anywhere before this was about 4.5 years, and when I got to the point where I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning and go to work, I got another job. So I still get up in the morning and look forward to coming to work here. It's a combination of being in a beautiful place that all of you get to call home, the privilege of being able to work here with all of you, and the amazing staff that is here that are not only my coworkers, but my friends, and I'm proud to be able to call them that. So thank you all.
Okay, lastly, I'm looking around the room to see if there's any new faces that haven't been introduced yet in front of all of you at coffee. Oh, there's one, George Herbert. Yay. So let's welcome George. If you want to stand up for a wave. So if you get to know George, he has a little bit of familiarity with Fox Run, even though he's a new face in this room with as a resident. He knows all about us. So stop and check in with George if you'd like. And with that, I'm going to move on. Oh, yes. So, you know what? I didn't do resident announcements. Sue.
Is there any update on our expansion?
There is no update yet. We're still kind of in the same position. We had a board meeting on Tuesday, and they presented some thoughts and some ideas, and I'd rather wait to share some of those design thoughts until we know what we can do, because we still have to talk to the town and we have to talk to the state. I'm not going to wait until you see construction crews outside to announce everything, but I promise you, you'll know. I'm going to have pictures up on the screen in September.
That's the reason I came today.
Oh, really? I thought it was to meet George.
Well, I know George.
Okay. Michelle, you were raising your hand? Okay, come out. Any other resident announcements? Yes?
I just want to say thank you so much for all your well wishes. Glenn is up in rehab now, and Ilona, are you here? Her prayer group, thank you so much, it's working.
Thank you so much for that, that was very nice. Yes?
Yeah, just a couple things from the Green Committee. First of all, thanks for bringing your own mug when you come to coffee hour. And secondly, just a gentle reminder that these are not recyclable. They are supposed to be washed out and put in your garbage. But you can recycle them in your own apartment if you want to. At the bottom of it says, top rack dishwasher safe. I haven't tried it yet.
I have.
It works. Okay, good. So a dishwasher safe and reuse them. And then a quick note from Jen Shack. She can't make it today. The greenhouse will be ready to take in plants starting September 23rd and not before. Stay tuned for updated rules and regulations. And just a quick thing, the printed menu that we got yesterday shows breakfast on Mondays from 8 to 10. So I don't think that's correct. So people should probably know there's no breakfast Monday morning.
Okay, so there's no breakfast Monday morning from 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was a,
Correct, right?
that,
There's no breakfast?
I don't know. I was looking for somebody from, yes, Nicole.
It's brunch, I believe, from 11 to 1.
Okay, it's brunch, it's a holiday, so it's being treated like a Sunday brunch. So thank you for pointing that out.
Sure.
And if anyone didn't hear that, Janet Shack's announcement was September 23rd, and no sooner will plants be accepted in the greenhouse. And thank you for bringing your mugs and instead of using the cups. Yes, Dick.
I've been doing this thing on the Green Committee on recycling soil from the used pots, which is gonna be plenty of them.
Mhm.
And not only this.
I'll repeat all this.
The soil goes into our gardens and the pots are recycled. So you can call me and I'll pick them up.
Okay, so Dick Leonard had said he's been working with the Green Committee to recycle soil from your flower pots. So if you're done for the season, he will come and pick them up, and he's going to use the soil for the gardens and then recycle the plastic container itself. Yes, Carol?
How are we coming with a replacement for Ellen?
So that's a great question. So the question is, how are we coming with a replacement for Ellen? So just to kind of give you a little perspective, there's always been one wellness nurse. It was Ellen, and then when Ellen retired, Lori came on board. But then Ellen asked if she could stay on per diem a couple days a week. So we ended up more than what we needed at the time, but we decided we're going to stick with that. We're going to find somebody to replace Ellen for those 2 days a week. We have some interest, we have some applications, but we're holding off until Allison starts because they're going to be reporting to our new director of resident services. So we're going to give it about a month or so. Okay, Michelle has an announcement.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. Monday, September 11th, that is when our mum sale starts. You can prepay starting next week. You cannot save a color. Those will be first come, first serve, and as in years past, they'll be in lines where they are color coded. So that will be starting on the 11th, and last year they sold out in 2 days. So if you're interested in mums, don't wait. Thursday, September 21st is a really busy day. We have our Fall Farmers Market, and that starts at 10 a.m. And we do have a great food truck. We've got Cheesy Chicks, and they'll be ready to serve at 11. And then Thursday evening, also the 21st, we will be having our art opening. There is a new exhibit going in today, and that's all.
So we can buy the moms on the 11th. When are they actually going to be here to pick?
On the 11th.
Okay,
You
perfect.
can prepay starting next week, but the actual mums will be ready by 12:30 on the 11th.
Perfect.
Yes.
How much are the mums?
They should be, and I'm sorry that I don't have, I've been playing phone tag with our favorite farmer friend. Last year they were $6 a piece, I want to say, or $7 a piece, or 7 apiece or 3 for $20. Hoping that we're still in that range this year. But I will know for sure, hopefully in a day or two, and put it up on the bulletin boards. Okay.
Okay, time to introduce our introducer, Bobby.
Thank you very much, Bill. I'm delighted to see you all this morning and to have an opportunity to share with you our outstanding speaker about a topic I know you're interested in. Her name is Drew Canfield, and she's the Associate Director of the Buffalo Central Terminal Restoration. And I know that we've been waiting a long, long time for this restoration, so you're going to be happy to hear that it's underway. Now, she couldn't be better qualified for this job because she has both her bachelor's degree from Kent State in Ohio, and then her master's degree from UB, and then an addition certification from NYSERDA. Now, the question of the day, folks, that you're all going to ask, and you'll get a prize for winning, is what is NYSERDA? How many people know? You don't have to know how to translate it, but have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
New York State Farmer Research and Development Agency.
New York State Energy Research Development Authority.
Oh, I missed the last one.
You don't ever have to remember that, but you should remember NYSERDA is a very powerful and very valuable agency authority, which has its own taxing power. I never knew that. And if you want to get money for a project in this field, NYSERDA is the place to apply. Did you know what it was?
I've heard of it, I didn't know.
Okay, well, so without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Drew. Welcome, Drew, to you. And I told her how smart you all are, and you're going to ask her good questions. So she'll give you a little time at the end. Thank you, Drew.
Well, thank you for that. I'm excited to be here with you guys to talk about our project.
Drew?
Hold it closer.
You just have to point it like this.
Like
Yes,
this.
yeah.
Got it. Okay, so like she was saying, I'm with the Buffalo Central Terminal. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that owns the iconic Central Terminal building you see here. And I'm sure a lot of you love this building. We definitely think the terminal is the most loved building in Buffalo. It seems like everyone has a story to tell and a connection to the building. And I always say, you know, it seems like Buffalo saved the best for last. This is a really important project, and it's going to be very transformative for Buffalo and the East Side. So here we just have a little timeline. So the building itself was completed in 1929, but construction actually took about 3 years. They started around 1926, and it was open until 1979 when the last train left the station. In 1984 is when it was added to the National Register of Historic Places, and it's also listed at the state level and at the local level. And then in 97 is when our nonprofit was formed by some very visionary preservationists who were set on saving the building. And in 2019 is really when the momentum started really getting behind this project, when we received significant funding from Eastside Avenues, which was a part of the Buffalo Billion. It was the phase 2 of that project, and it was what really enabled us to get staff and really bring attention to this project and expertise behind it and get folks really working on it full time. And so
Can't hear.
my supervisor, Monica Pellegrino Fakes, worked on the Richardson Olmsted Complex, so you might have heard about, and has moved on to this project now. And in 2021, we completed a community-driven master plan that really set the stage and the guidebook for how we can move forward. And then last year, we received a $61 million allocation from the state of New York and local philanthropy. And that is really what is kickstarting the reuse of the building. So I figured I'd start with just some construction photos, because people seem to love these. So this is from 1928, when they were starting the exterior of our iconic tower. And then I just have a couple more here. And this is when it was completed, opening day in June 1929. And then I have some photos from 1979, when the station actually closed. So these were taken by one of our biggest supporters, David Hoagman. We've got the iconic arched windows here that Fellheimer and Wagner are really known for. Those are the architects of the terminal, and they actually kind of specialized in train stations and built several across the country, including the Cincinnati terminal. So, why here, why now? The terminal is a really iconic landmark for Buffalo, and it's really important that we preserve that history and to really try to leverage this building to propel us into the future. So you can see here the iconic passenger concourse. It is ideal for these large events like this. So you might know we're in the Broadway Fillmore neighborhood. That is our home. We are really embedded in the community there. We own, as a nonprofit, we own about 12 acres of the total 60-acre site. The city of Buffalo owns about 16, and Amtrak actually owns the rest. So I mentioned that we started a master plan and completed it in 2021. That plan was really what set the stage for all the work that we're doing now. So we spent a year talking to folks from the neighborhood, from the city, from all across the region to really find out, what do people want to see at the terminal? How does Buffalo want to preserve this landmark and use it into the future? And what needs does this neighborhood have that we could really meet in the reuse of this building? And so ultimately we came upon this vision to reestablish the terminal as a vibrant year-round regional venue that uses its diversity of spaces and really reflects the cultural and economic assets of the neighborhood, the city, and the region. And it really had three parts. So we're so embedded in the neighborhood that we really wanted to create this neighborhood framework. So not only understanding what the building can be used for, but also understanding what does this neighborhood need and how can we support those needs. And then another piece is the vision for the actual building and how it will be used. And then third part is, how are we going to make this happen? How are we going to finance it? What's feasible? What's possible? So, like I said, we spent a year talking to folks. We actually kicked off this plan about, I think, the week before or the week of the shutdown for the pandemic. So that really caused us to have to be, pivot, be agile, nimble. But we actually think it ended up being good for this project in the sense that we were able to talk to a lot of people that we might not have been able to talk to. Folks were at home and were eager for things to do and places to give input. We also created a community advisory council of 25 folks who live around Broadway Fillmore or work in organizations, businesses in the area. So our top priorities: we want to stabilize the building, reestablish the terminal as a hub of activity, really celebrate our community, and elevate the future of the region. some of our strategies would be to really contribute to community quality of life in the area, engage a civic commons. These are spaces where we want to host public events to bring people back to the building and really bring life back to the historic site. We want to have beautiful green spaces that are welcoming and bring people in. And we want to use a mix of uses. So some of the things we see the terminal being used for, a cultural center for those events, like I was saying, back of house for the film industry, things like film screenings or editing. That's something that's burgeoning here in Buffalo, but also an innovation hub looking at those advanced manufacturing, tech, biomedical, that's really growing in our region, and also a nonprofit anchor. So really being able to address those community needs that we see in East Buffalo, and then housing, definitely a big need in our city. So this is a huge project. How are we actually going to get there? And I know this is something that people have been working towards for a really, really long time, so there's a lot of very healthy skepticism out there, like, is this actually going to happen? But I'm here to tell you it already is. So we completed a $5 million project that was mainly focused on some areas of roofing. We actually had a really bad freeze in 2019 that damaged a lot of our roofs pretty significantly. We completed that project, and we always say it's the best $5 million we ever spent because it helped us to really understand how to work in this building, some of those like idiosyncrasies of how they built it back in the day. And so that was our phase one, and we've just started our phase two, which is really focused on more of that stabilization and really trying to open up that first floor, that passenger concourse, to get people back in for events and tours. So we have already started activating the site. So we have volunteer days throughout the year where people can come and help us garden or pick up trash around the neighborhood, anything like that. But we also have events throughout the summer, like Shakespeare in the Park has been there for 2 years. We've had flea markets. We do a backpack giveaway every year with our local electeds. This year we kicked off Health is Wealth, where we celebrated healthy minds and bodies on the Great Lawn. We have had a summer concert series this year that was very popular, and I'm thinking will grow for next year. We meet with our Community Advisory Council pretty regularly to give them updates on how the project is going and get their input. Buffalo Music and Arts is a celebration that we've brought to the terminal 3 years now, and it's a one-day giant music and arts festival. We actually just had it last Sunday. We do trunk or treat every year at the Matt Urban Center, and we also installed what we're calling Seat at the Table, which are these custom-built tables to really encourage folks to come to the terminal, use the lawn, kind of like you'd use a park, picnic, things like that. We've had 2 art installations, so this gate here, and then the seat at the table. So what are we doing with this money, right? So the first thing we're trying to do is select a private developer. So even though $61 million is a lot of money, it's only going to get us so far. It's a really, really great start, but it's not going to get us to the finish line. So we are in the process of selecting a development partner that really shares our community-minded vision and our values and really respects what we're trying to do in preserving this building. And we'll be selecting that developer by the end of the year. And this will make it possible for us to bring in more private dollars, private business to really make this project possible. Did the screen turn off? Does anyone?
Is it on your?
It's on mine. There we go.
We go get it.
Right. So we'll be selecting that private developer by the end of the year, and we want to use that public funding to do as much as we can in this building to really get it ready for that developer to come in and start building things out. We foresee the first aspect of this building that will open up within the next 3 to 5 years. that could be that passenger concourse area for community events or even private events like weddings, conferences, film screenings, but it could also look like a housing project. We'll know kind of more about what is feasible in those next couple years, probably early next year. And the last next step we're really taking is creating that welcoming great lawn, which is that big green space you've seen in some of these photos, and just continuing to grow those events that we're doing. So this year we pretty much, I think, doubled the events that we've been hosting on the lawn, and they've been very well attended and very received very well. So I think next year we'll be able to grow that even more and do more concerts and more outdoor events to really bring people to the site and get people to really, be passionate about what we're trying to do here. And so we know that the terminal is a really significant landmark for our area, and we're just really excited to be able to push forward on this and see the impact that it's going to have for East Buffalo and our city. So that's all I have in terms of presentation, but I will take all your questions. Are we taking the mic around?
Let me see if there's another
You can start if you want.
Well, I'll take us back here.
I applaud your beginnings, and I'm thrilled that you're gonna,
Can you talk closer?
I'm very pleased that you're gonna have the development person chosen by the first of the year. And
Keep going.
is it okay?
Just hold it real
And then I wondered, how about some trees?
So where do I need to go?
You can, no, I think you're good.
So I hear you on the tree aspect. We are working on.
Yeah, we'll just use one. You just have to repeat the question.
I'll repeat it, that's fine. So I hear you in terms of the trees and other landscaping in general. So we actually just received $1 million through a community process through what's called the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. And that is focused all on this great lawn area, which is this big green space you see here. That's about 7 acres that we have. It actually used to be a parking lot, but it is now green space, and part of that $1 million is to work with a landscape architect and work with the community to really elevate the landscape that's there already. Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any plans to perhaps bring a train back, to use the tracks to bring people in? Maybe like a decorative, something old fashioned, or even take the tracks out and put in a bike path so people could come from, say, downtown or wherever else?
So I get that question a lot. Well, first I would say, so the train tracks that are there are active. So there's no plans to take the tracks out for like a multi-use path or bike trail. That being said, we would like to really improve access for bikes to the site itself with maybe like on-street bike lanes and things like that. And our master plan does, leave room for passenger rail to return, but we're not putting all our eggs in that basket. We really need to just push forward in making the building usable and relevant again. And if passenger rail does come back, if the state of New York decides to put money into that basket, we would gladly accept it, but we don't want to hold our breath for passenger rail to return because it's just such a huge building. We have 500,000 square feet ourselves, and that's not even all of the historic buildings on the site. So we just know that, passenger rail isn't as booming as it used to be, so we know we're going to have to bring in a lot of uses to this project. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you secured the building? I mean, the windows were missing for a long time.
Yeah, so the question was, is the building secure? So, yes, however, so we have secured the windows, put window coverings on, trying to keep the building as clean and dry as we can while we start these other rounds of construction. But the December storm that we just had, that blizzard, significantly impacted our tower. Replacing those window coverings and working on re-securing the tower is our top priority with this phase 2 funding that we have. Right here in the back.
Oh my God. Didn't do it.
Go ahead.
Is the rest of the tower building gonna be used for anything?
So the question was, will the tower be used for anything? So yes, that is one of the more iconic features of the building. We foresee this space being used for offices or housing or maybe even hotel space if that is feasible. But definitely. So it is a 17-story building with 15 floors, and most of those floors are just very open office space. So they're pretty ideal for nearly any use since it's so open. Go ahead.
Yeah. Last year, I wrote a rather comprehensive letter to Ms. Pellegrino. Okay. Last year, I wrote a rather extensive letter to Ms. Pellegrino. Where is Ms. Pellegrino? Is she here?
No.
Oh, okay. She's the director of this whole.
Yep, I work with Monica.
And I suggested, I think, some important things. You have an area of high underemployment, undereducation, the east side. I suggested that they start a program well in advance to educate and train, especially young people coming in that area, to become skilled in certain crafts so that they can get employment when the construction takes place, and to,
Yeah.
something has to go back to the community, and the community is a poor community. The other suggestion I made is, see that great lawn? It'll be a beautiful place for a greenhouse, to grow plants, plant in the area, inside, etc.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I think, working to better our community is a big piece of what we're trying to do with the reuse of the building. So workforce development is something that is definitely on our minds for how we will develop the building. So it's not all about equitable development in terms of what the end use will be and who that end user is, but how we get there. So as part of our developer solicitation, we've really asked those firms to outline what is their plan for equitable development and wealth building in our community. And that is a big piece of what we are evaluating those proposals for. So we've really looked at like Northland and other projects as models for how we can do that here in Buffalo. We haven't made all of those decisions yet, but that is something that is super important to us and that is at the forefront of what we're trying to do. So whether that looks like,
We can't hear you still, dear.
whether that looks like job training, workforce development opportunities, if that looks like co-developers, there's a lot of different ways that this project could, end up, but that's really important to us. And then the other aspect is, what will this building be, who will it serve, and so that's another aspect of how we're getting at added value to the community with affordable housing, with nonprofit services, with job opportunities that will come to the neighborhood, things like that. Back here?
Does the master plan include measures to prevent gentrification of the neighborhood around?
Yeah, so that's all part of what I was just talking about with the equitable development strategies. So how can we make sure that this project is not forcing people out of the neighborhood? That the investment going into this building isn't making it unaffordable for the residents who are already living there. So a lot of that strategy is working with community partners who focus on things like that, whether that looks like supporting the development of a community land trust so that there aren't tax increases that force people out. aspects that include community wealth building, aspects of workforce development, so that we can really make sure that we're leveraging this opportunity to build a skill set in our neighborhood. All of those elements are what we're really looking at, and coming at it from a lot of different angles.
Do you also know the history of why they closed it in 1979?
Yeah.
Repeat the question.
So her question was, why was the station closed in 1979? The station itself had really been downsizing over the years just because of a shift in behavior from passenger rail to airline to personal vehicle travel, things like that. So they had really been seeing a decrease in usage and had actually shrunken their performance and the space that they were even using in the building over the years. And then I think ultimately it just wasn't financially sustainable anymore, and so that's why it did close. We'll go here and then here.
In your discussions with the community, how successful were you in involving Black leadership on your board, on your staff, and in every way that they can become committed? Because it's not minority, it's majority in that region.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. The question is, how are we involving Black leaders and Black community in the neighborhood in the project? So from the very start, the community has been the heart of what we're doing. We wanted to have not just a master plan, but a community-driven master plan. So we spent 12 months talking with folks in the neighborhood, across the city, to really get input from people. What do you want to see in your backyard? So that is one aspect. The second aspect is we created a community advisory council of 25 people who would really take a deeper look at the proposals that were coming forward in the master plan, who we're working with now in our developer selection. And that is a really diverse group of folks that is representative of the neighborhood that we're in. It includes business leaders, faith leaders, your average resident, nonprofit leaders. So we really wanted to make sure that we were able to really build those voices into what we're doing, and really just in doing community engagement the way that we have been striving to do it, it really just builds a better project. So you get that end result that works, that's feasible. And so that's something we're very committed to. With our board diversity, it's something that we are constantly working on. We've had a lot of shifts in our board recently, and so we're doing continued recruitment, but always striving to really include diverse voices in what we're doing. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roberta, I just posed a good question. Your board, how many people are on the board?
I think we have 9 right now.
9. You have representation from the minority Black community, or the majority there on your board?
Yeah, so we have about 9 people on our board. We have, it is probably less than half folks right now who are representing communities of color, but it is something that we're working on. We used to have a board, I think, of 12, and so we've recently had a lot of turnover, so that is something that we're working on this year. We definitely want to bring more diversity to our board, whether that is, cultural backgrounds, gender, etc. We want to be able to have all of those perspectives on our board. So that is something we are working on and are very aware of.
Last question.
Go ahead.
Is there parking availability?
Yeah, so parking is not a problem for our project. There's street parking all around our site, but actually, if you see these windows here, this is all a parking deck. So this building was a little ahead of its time in that it kind of has underground parking. So the parking deck that we have can hold about 300 cars, and that is without stacking, and it has very, very high ceilings. So likely, if we were to have housing and things like that, we could even do long-term stacked storage and hold more cars. You had a question up here, right?
When you say building, do you include the Railway Express building?
We actually don't own the Railway Express building,
That's
so
still Amtrak?
I couldn't hear you.
Is that, does Amtrak own that? Or?
The city of Buffalo owns that. So we own the main terminal building with the tower that you see here, and this wing, which is the mail and baggage building. The city of Buffalo owns about 12 acres, which includes this shorter building here. This is the former post office, and then the Railway Express, which you can see here. And that Railway Express building is actually interesting because it was built before the terminal. It was built in 1918 and supported more freight rail, not passenger. But that is still on our campus, is still standing, and that is part of our developer solicitation. We actually partnered with the city so that we could create a vision for all of the buildings on the site, instead of just the ones that we own.
Do you anticipate ever acquiring?
The city of Buffalo will be selling those properties to the selected developer, so we would not own. Any other questions?
All right.
I just want to say thank you to Drew and thank you to our Bobby for this wonderful presentation, and we have a little gift for Fox Run to you for coming.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful weekend.